Forecast?
No.
Hmm?
No?
No.
Hello everybody, this is your student Facebook meteorologist Sean Bagden here, and we're going to be talking about a significant snowstorm, upslope snowstorm that's going to be impacting the front range of the Colorado Rockies down to Raton Pass in just south of Pueblo and into Raton Pass there in New Mexico. And this snowstorm is also going to be ejecting out into the southern plain states where up to 6 inches of snow and blizzard conditions can be expected in the panhandles of Oklahoma and Texas, and as far south as even the Caprock in the panhandle of Texas could be looking at significant snowfalls for this time of the year. Also, we're going to be talking about Tropical Storm Zeta, which is going to be potentially impacting and making landfall as a hurricane on the Louisiana coastline later this week, likely around the midweek time frame, late midweek time frame here. So we can clearly see right now we have this area of deformation and dilatation here right across the northern tier of Colorado right now, and it's dropping south already as pummeled Cheyenne this morning and is going to be slowly dropping south in towards the Loveland area where wildfires are ongoing right now, and this will likely go towards diminishing those as we head on through the day today, especially with the moisture in place. And also looks like a secondary vorticity maximum is developing and breaking out heavy snow showers here just north of the Pueblo area, looks like around Colorado Springs here, and looks like snow is becoming more and more widespread across the Palmer Divide area this afternoon as well, and back in towards the western edge of the Front Range towards Vail, Colorado here. And also going to be looking at significant snowfalls, warning criteria snowfalls here out in the eastern side of Colorado as well, in the plains, and expecting near blizzard conditions there with that strengthening easterly flow caused by this increasing high pressure to the north and decreasing low pressure to the south. Can clearly see our cold front really sagging through the eastern areas of Colorado here with this little gravity wave feature that is extending off to the south and east. Good old blue northern cold front right here, which will be causing these colder temperatures and blizzard conditions as we head through the day today. So now we're going to head on over to pivotal weather right here, where we're going to be breaking down your 500 millibar flow and what's going to be happening with our snowfall maps here. We're going to head over to our dynamics page for our vorticity, and here we go. We can clearly see at 12Z, actually hold on, we may have 12Z runs coming out. Yes, we do. Here's the latest NAM model run, hot off the press. We can see right now, here's our a strengthening area of deformation out in front of this diving trough and developing low pressure right here along the Utah-Colorado border around the Wasatch area. And this is what we're going to be looking at for that stationary band of snow, and behind this easterly flow will be kicking in with that building high pressure to the north, which will allow for significant upslope snowfall to occur, especially across the San Juan Mountains here and the southern Front Range of the Rockies. But yes, significant upslope snowfall is going to be expected across the Front Range of the Rockies tomorrow, even into northern New Mexico and the Caprock as expected, as this feature in the flow, strong positive vorticity advection, dives south into the mountains here. We're going to continue to advance this hour by hour, and as we can see, we're going to be watching this cutoff low here get absorbed into the flow and allow for further energy to enter into this backloaded trough right here. And continued positive vorticity advection will be streaming north across Colorado throughout the next couple of days. This is going to be a very long duration upslope snowfall event, likely resulting in several feet of snow. Will be breaking out the yardsticks across the front range of the Rockies here. Going 6 hours into the future, this is late afternoon here, and we can continue to see this backloaded trough continuing to absorb this cutoff low here, and continued heavy snowfall and banding features can clearly be evident here across the front range of the Colorado Rockies and into the Palmer Divide here. And as this backloaded trough continues to swing around here, we can expect that heavy snow will start to break out here across the southern front range here, as flow starts to back a little more easterly with time here. And here we get continued strong dynamics, very good dynamic forcing here out in front of this trough axis. Pretty much stationary, heavy banded precipitation is expected here across the Denver metro area, likely producing upwards of 2 to 2.5 feet of snow here across the northern front range of the Rockies, just west of Fort Collins and Denver area here, over by Loveland Pass, over top of that those several fires that are burning up there in the Rocky Mountain Range. And also we can start seeing the development of this positive vorticity advection here right along the Raton Pass area, likely resulting in very heavy snowfall rates developing down there by this time. This is late in the afternoon, this afternoon here. Here we go. We finally see the almost full absorption of this cutoff low here that's been sitting off of the San Diego coastline here into the flow, and we can see that it is really injecting a good amount of energy across the front range of the Rocky Mountains. Likely a large majority of Colorado will be in heavy snow at this time, expecting potentially enough instability in place at this time across the Rockies that we could be seeing resulting thunder snow across the area here. We'll take a box sounding for this area and time. Okay, I guess we can't do that. Interesting. Maybe a smaller feature here. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, likely going to be seeing thunder snow go underway at this time across a large majority of the southern front range of the Rockies. As shown here, we have a very deep layer in the dendritic growth zone right here, especially across the higher terrain where we're expecting these temperatures to be a little bit colder aloft. Very saturated dendritic growth zone, favorable for dendrite growth, and also very favorable negative omega values through a deep layer of the atmosphere, leading to a lot of lift and significant instability values, which will likely result in heavy snow bands and potentially widespread thunder snow, likely going to be expected here across Raton Pass area and potentially even back here towards Aspen and Vail, Colorado here, right back towards that bombing out area of low pressure that will be developing right around here, right in that northwestern side deformation band. And then these banding features in the warm sector here, well, warm sector where you are off to the east of the low, will likely also be seeing thunder snow as lots of instability is going to be advected in at the surface here, with those negative omega values in place. And then just absolutely incredible banding features continue to pummel the Rocky Mountains here in the Front Range, especially across the Palmer Divide and southern Rocky Mountain Range here. This is almost the early morning hours. This is 11 p.m. tonight. Very significant omega values right across the Palmer Divide here. Wow, yeah. This is going to be snowing very hard across the whole state. Just looking at this elevated instability axis right here, throughout the dendritic growth zone and even above that, really expecting significant snowfall rates here. Still holding strong with our forecast of potentially upwards of 3 feet of snow across the southern Rocky Mountains here near the Raton Pass area. And just more of the same as we continue through the night tonight and into the morning hours on Monday here. This is right around daybreak we're looking at right now, and we can see the stationary band of deformation and heavy snowfall is still stationary across the Front Range of the Rockies. At this time, we're starting to see our 500 millibar flow close off right here, which is going to allow for easterly flow to really start cranking in behind this upslope band here, likely causing significant upslope flow developing behind this synoptic scale forcing here. Synoptic scale snowfall is likely going to be in this area I'm circling right here off to the south and west, or south and east rather, of this closed 500 millibar low and this deformation band. But behind this deformation zone right here, we can really expect these easterly winds to kick in and a prolonged upslope event to continue even after the main synoptic scale forcing has dissipated across the area. And we'll continue moving on in time here, and can see that we start to eject this system and close it off even more. And at this time, synoptic scale snow looks to be pretty much done across Colorado, but easterly flow will still be in place, especially across the Raton Pass area here and the southern Front Range of the Rockies. This is the area I'm going to be expecting the most snowfall to be occurring over the next few days here, likely in excess of 3 feet across the Raton Pass area. And at this time, we're going to be expecting snow to be breaking out across the Oklahoma Panhandle and the Texas Panhandle, potentially down to the Cap Rock. This is the area I'm most concerned with potentially near blizzard conditions here as this system starts to eject off into the lower plains here. Hold on, everybody. Here we go. Yeah, just look at this bowling ball of vorticity that's going to be screaming into the plains here, and very favorable flow for upslope here across northern New Mexico and southern Colorado. Positive vorticity advection continues to develop on warm air advection here right out in front of this bowling ball low at 500 millibars, and likely seeing outbreaks of heavy precipitation developing here across the Texas and Oklahoma panhandles here. At this time, likely looking at heavy snow, maybe mixed with sleet across the panhandles of Oklahoma, Texas at this time, just due to this warm air that's developed aloft. But at this time, not looking at blizzard conditions, but we'll be probably seeing that developing as this low pressure system passes through, and we'll be seeing northwesterly winds really starting to crank behind the system, and will lead to blizzard conditions probably right at the time that snowfall is ending across the Cap Rock, Texas Panhandle, and Oklahoma Panhandles here. So now we're going to head on over to our snowfall maps, what everybody wants to see here. We'll look at total, actually hop on over to Kachera here. Definitely a little more accurate. And then we'll head over to the localized sectors. Colorado, perfect. Alright. Here we go. And again, as I was saying here, actually I think this is not as accurate. Right here, I think this 40-inch band gets pushed a little bit further south down in between Trinidad and Almosa. I think this is where we're going to get the most snow, right in this area right down here. I think Continental Divide gets anywhere between 12 and 24 inches of snow. And I don't think Denver gets 15 inches either. I think they're more at 8 to 12. And I think this right here is pretty accurate over the Loveland area and just to the west of Fort Collins and Denver, likely seeing upwards of 2 feet along the Front Range there. And I'm probably seeing pretty accurate amounts here across the western Front Range of the Rockies before the Continental Divide here. I'm probably seeing around that 2-foot range. Again, this I think is a little overblown, and I think this axis shifts a little bit further south here, given the duration of time that's expected. We'll be seeing heavy snowfall and banding features in place across southern Colorado here, although it would not be out of the question to see a 3-foot amount up here in the Front Range just to the west of Fort Collins and Denver. I think is most likely down here between Almosa and Trinidad and near the Raton Pass area. And Continental Divide will be seeing much less snow than this, I would imagine. And generally 8 to 12 inches here along this interstate corridor from Fort Collins down to Denver, Castle Rock, Colorado Springs, and down to Pueblo. Higher amounts between Pueblo and Trinidad, definitely likely in that 12 to 18 inch range. Would not be surprised with that. So that's our discussion on the snowstorm that's going to be impacting the Rocky Mountains over the next few days and is actually impacting them now. So now we're going to head on over to tropical tidbits and talk about Tropical Storm Zeta, which has developed overnight last night, early this morning. Currently a 40-mile-an-hour storm. And here is our latest NHC model guidance data as of 11 a.m. This was half an hour ago that this was created right here. And we can clearly see tropical storm strength system likely going to be impacting the Cancun area. Would not be surprised to see these tropical storm warnings dropped on the western edge of Cuba here. And would not be surprised to see hurricane warnings hoisted here across this northeastern peninsula of the Yucatan Peninsula here, as rapid intensification is definitely possible over the next day or so here before it impacts the Yucatan Peninsula, as likely a low-end Category 1 hurricane, just given the favorable temperatures for rapid intensification here across the Western Caribbean here. So would not be surprised to see a landfall as a low-end Cat 1 hurricane. 75 or 80 miles an hour definitely possible here. And then the big question mark is, what does the Yucatan Peninsula do here to the circulation of the system? Does it disrupt it at all, or does it not really hamper the intensity of the system much? I don't think it's going to hamper the intensity too much, but we do have the negative that we have very cold sea surface temperatures here across the Gulf of Mexico, central Gulf of Mexico here, right around that barrier where you start to see decreasing temperatures in these decreasing intensities within these tropical systems here, right around that 27 degrees Celsius range, which is very borderline for tropical system development and even maintenance. So we'll probably see, likely we'll probably be seeing the system as it emerges out into the Gulf being a strong tropical storm, and then maintaining that intensity as it heads off into this area right here towards the bayous here of southeastern Louisiana here, and likely in towards the Biloxi, Mississippi, and Dauphin, Alabama area here. I believe that's Dauphin Island. Yeah, it's Dauphin Island there in Alabama. And then big question marks once this heads up towards the northeast as whether it phases with the trough correctly or not. Could be leading to significant snowfall, widespread, even at low elevations across northern and interior New England there. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But this system right here is likely going to be making landfall as a strong tropical storm, and across an area that has been plagued with these tropical systems making landfall all year long. There's been 3 or 4 that have been within this small area of coastline from the Louisiana-Texas border to the Alabama-Florida border here. But definitely Category 1 likely at landfall here across the Cancun and Yucatan Peninsula area, and then maintaining its intensity across the Gulf of Mexico here, as water temperatures are not very favorable for rapid intensification anymore across this area due to several cold frontal passages that have caused colder waters from the depths of the Gulf of Mexico to rise up towards the surface here, causing a reduction in those sea surface temperatures, which will create this stationary trend in intensity, we'll call it, of Tropical Storm Zeta, which will likely remain a tropical storm up to the coastline here, especially with increasing shear off to its western flanks here, with the bowling ball of vorticity that's going to be crossing in association with the snowstorm ongoing across Colorado, New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Nebraska and Wyoming here. That will likely shear the system, but any moisture that does get involved in this trough axis will likely lead to potentially a Dixie Alley severe weather event here. We'll go over that a little bit later on when it becomes more certain, but we can always have a look at it right now, although probably not accurate to this time period. We'll head out to the GFS right here. We'll go last night's 0Z run. And, oops, sorry. We're going to head out to the southeastern United States. Here we go. Perfect. And we're going to bring this right out to when we have impact of this bowling ball of vorticity here across the southeastern United States. I believe it's hour 90. It gets pretty close here. Okay. Here we go. Strong 500 millibar forcing right here. Wow. You're right across Mississippi. This is likely at the time that we'll be seeing Tropical Storm Zeta come flying up the coastline here and into this Alabama, Georgia area. And looking at our low-level jet here at this time, this is the 0Z GFS run, we can see this intensification of this of this low-level jet max right here at 20, that's 0Z. Hold on, everybody. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Hour 96. Yeah, here we go. Look at this strong southerly jet that's going to be in place here across Alabama and northwestern Georgia about 96 hours out here. This is very strong 850 millibar flow right here, around 55 to 60 knots. We'll take an area-wide sounding here. This is just after peak heating here. And you can see we do have favorable photographs for rotation here, although low levels are not very well veered here. But that strong southwesterly flow in association with that bowling ball of energy will likely lead to some development of rotating storms here, especially if we can get some instability in place and we can really tap into that surface-based instability here, especially with the landfalling tropical system. We'll definitely have the potential for rotating storms across the southeastern United States here. We'll take another area sounding right here. Yeah, again, here we go, a little bit more favorable in the low levels there with that rotating flow, but still really not what we're looking for. We really want this to be a little more southwesterly here, but those southeasterlies are definitely looking pretty good at this point in time. Very marginal storm relative helicities and wind shear, so we'll have to continue. Still a good ways out here for that potential of a Dixie Alley or Mid-Atlantic outbreak here, but it is something that we should keep an eye on here, as it is a possibility that we see a potential for a severe weather outbreak here across the Mid-Atlantic states and the southeastern United States across that Dixie Alley region. Definitely a possibility here. And then we see this 850 millibar energy crank out into the Mid-Atlantic, and again we have 2 days probably of potentially a severe weather outbreak here. Again, this looks like more of a high wind event more than anything, given these dry air mass that develops aloft here and the unidirectional flow of the wind here. But again, we'll keep an eye on that for you. Again, that's quite a bit further out, and a lot can change, especially since these bowling balls and very slow moving systems are very hard to predict the movement of here. If it tends to make more of a southerly track than this, I would expect some more significant severe weather, but if it continues to lift off and eject like this across the Ohio River Valley here, would be expecting less in the way of a tornado threat across Dixie Alley in the Mid-Atlantic states, and more of a unidirectional flow event with high winds and potentially maybe a weak derecho that could spin up across the Georgia area and lift off to the north and east here into southern Virginia and the southern Mid-Atlantic states here. That's about all we have for this live briefing, and we'll probably be back tomorrow talking about snowfall totals across Colorado and potential for that severe weather outbreak in the southeastern United States and Mid-Atlantic. Also talking tropical storm, potentially Hurricane Zeta by that time, and potential for a significant snowstorm to be impacting interior New England by later this week, with this bowling ball of energy across Colorado, and that interacting with tropical storm or hurricane Zeta and pushing into the New England as a nor'easter. So we'll keep an eye out on that. But other than that, have a great day, everybody.